Hello, my lovely English learners. I love technology, so we're talking about robots today, but not in the way you might expect. A lot of conversations about robots have to do with whether or not a robot or machine could ever develop genuine feelings or emotions. But today, we're going to be thinking about our own emotions and feelings towards robots, particularly empathy. Can we feel empathy towards robots? And if so, why? Allow me to introduce you to Kate Darling. She is a super cool researcher who is looking into this very question. I'm going to play you a little bit from the beginning of her TED Talk where she explains how she got into this line of research. The link to the full presentation is in the show notes. And it's as entertaining as it is interesting and thought-provoking, so I can wholeheartedly recommend you check out the whole thing. Okay, here comes Kate.
There was a day about 10 years ago when I asked a friend to hold a baby dinosaur robot upside down. It was this toy called a Pleo that I had ordered, and I was really excited about it because I've always loved robots. And this one has really cool technical features. It had motors and touch sensors, and it had an infrared camera. And one of the things it had was a tilt sensor, so it knew what direction it was facing. And when you held it upside down, it would start to cry. And I thought this was super cool, so I was showing it off to my friend. And I said, ooh, hold it up by the tail, see what it does. So we're watching the theatrics of this robot struggle and cry out. And after a few seconds, it starts to bother me a little. And I said, okay, that's enough now. Let's put him back down. And then I pet the robot to make it stop crying. And that was kind of a weird experience for me. For one thing, I wasn't the most maternal person at the time. Although since then I've become a mother 9 months ago, and I've learned that babies also squirm when you hold them upside down. But my response to this robot was also interesting because I knew exactly how this machine worked. And yet I still felt compelled to be kind to it. And that observation sparked a curiosity that I've spent the past decade pursuing. Why did I comfort this robot? And one of the things I discovered was that my treatment of this machine was more than just an awkward moment in my living room. That in a world where we're increasingly integrating robots into our lives, an instinct like that might actually have consequences. Because the first thing that I discovered is that it's not just me.
She's right, it's not just her. I found a short video on YouTube that shows somebody being really mean to the same type of robot dinosaur that Kate uses in her research. It's only 1 minute long, so if you want to pause the podcast and go watch it, feel free. The link is in the show notes. Anyway, when I watched this video myself, I felt really uncomfortable, even though I knew it was just a toy robot. And I'm not alone. Here are some of the YouTube comments. Why would you do this? It looks so scared. Please stop and let me hug it. The last part, when he was hitting him to the table, I heard it crying. That's so sad. I feel bad for him, even though I know it's just a pile of plastic and metal that can't even think. Of course, YouTube comments being what they are, there were also people saying things like, "This made me laugh so hard," and "How do I get this job?" But I'm fairly sure that those people were just trying to be funny. At least I hoped so. We humans have evolved to have empathy for our fellow human beings, and for most of us, this also extends to animals. Well, cute animals, at least. But why in the world would we feel empathy or any kind of emotional connection to a robot or a machine? I mean, they don't have emotions or feel pain. They can't actually have any feelings toward us. So why do we still want to be kind to them? This is what we discuss in the following conversation. You'll hear me talking to Yasmin, who, by the way, is an active teacher on italki. There is a link to her profile in the show notes if you'd like to get to know her better. She's from the UK, but lives in Canada now, and we got together over Zoom to talk about Kate Darling's presentation and our own emotional connections to inanimate objects. You'll hear us starting out with some small talk about podcasts, which leads us naturally into the main topic of our conversation. The small talk is not relevant to our topic, but I'm leaving it in as an example of the natural flow of informal conversations from one topic to another. All right, are you ready? Here comes the conversation. Do you have any, just for yourself, favorite podcasts that you like to listen to? If you don't mind saying.
My favorite one is what's it called? Into the Wild, I think it's called.
Okay.
Or something like this. And it's basically a lot of different people who have adventured all over the world, and they talk about loads of different things. Like my favorite one was with this man called Levison Wood, and he was talking about his trip to Botswana and dealing with the elephants, or learning about elephant behavior and working with a conservation team out there. And so that was really interesting.
Oh,
so
cool.
Things like that I really like listening to.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think I have seen that one either in iTunes or in the podcast app somewhere. Into the Wild sounds familiar, but I haven't actually listened to that. But
yeah, it's worth listening to. They have many totally different topics, which are all quite interesting.
Yeah, and you being a traveler, I can imagine that that's extra interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go to Africa and see the elephants.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's probably the main reason.
I love elephants. I love elephants. I don't know. Have you ever seen, I think it's one of the David Attenborough nature shows where there's these elephants walking across the desert, and it's like an aerial view, and they're in a drought, and it's really, really dry and horrible. And then at some point you see this little baby elephant walking all by itself. And he's gotten lost, and he's walking the wrong way. It's like the saddest thing I think I've ever seen. I cried when I saw it, that poor baby elephant. Oh my God.
It's so sad, isn't it?
Yeah, so sad. That's if my my partner, we almost use that as a benchmark when I see something sad about animals. I'm like, yeah, it was really sad, but still not as bad as that baby elephant going the wrong way.
I mean, these elephants are so smart. They have their internal compass, which is why it's surprising when you have such young elephants who go the wrong way. And I suppose they have such strong family connections, almost, stronger than human connections.
Yeah.
Which is quite amazing.
It's incredible. I would give anything to be able to actually get inside the mind of an animal and be able to understand what they're thinking.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's very sad though, all the hunting and the poaching which goes on, and human animal conflict out in Africa and these sorts of countries. It's quite sad.
Yeah, it is really sad. And I know that it must be a really complex issue. I mean, I can look at it and just totally condemn them for doing that. But then, everyone always has their reasons. I think it's a horrible, horrible thing. And it's just sad that some people are, they feel that that's the only way, the only thing that they can do.
Absolutely.
It's terrible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's funny we're talking about this because, I had wanted to talk to you about that video about we have so much empathy for real animals and people, but we can actually have empathy for robots.
Isn't it crazy? And do you know what though? It's funny because we look at animals and we think they're so cute. We see a little puppy and we just want to go and cuddle it. Yeah. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I think that people do create attachments to robots because often they look kind of sweet. They don't look like something scary. They look like something which we could actually have a connection to.
Yeah.
And people are super soft. People are too kind and caring. They just want anything that they feel like they can protect. I suppose they want to.
Yeah. I thought what was really kind of blew me away about that video was the way that the military guys would actually develop these attachments to the landmine robots, the bomb disposal robots?
Oh, absolutely.
That
I think those are robots who perform like services to help people. I think maybe it's possible that humans create a stronger connection to those robots because they feel bad for them. They feel like empathy towards them because this robot is doing what technically maybe the people should be doing. And so, like it says in the video, you do see so many of these robots who work in the army or the military having funerals and people really taking care of them, which is insane.
Yeah, amazing. And it does bring up that issue that maybe it's not so good that a soldier is like feeling sorry for his bomb disposal robot. I mean, in a training exercise, it's one thing, but if it's actually out in the field and it just makes you really think about that, actually. And it's an interesting point you bring up about the idea that it's these machines that are serving us or providing a service, because I've been thinking about this since I saw that video. And I have these weird emotional attachments to things that can't even move.
Yeah.
Like
well, things
machines.
With sentimental value, right? Like,
yeah. Well,
things...
no, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm curious. Go ahead.
I think people have connections with all sorts of things, not necessarily just robots. Take my jacket, for example. I had my jacket for 10 years, came with me throughout all my travels. In the end, it had so many holes in it that I just had to get rid of it. It wasn't serving its purpose any longer. And so with a heavy heart, I had to say, okay, I'll get a new one and I'll give this one away. But I was so sad about it because I had all these memories that came with this coat. And it sounds totally ridiculous, I know.
No, not at all. Not to me.
People do create, I think, some form of connection to things which they have things which have a sentimental value. And so it's not surprising that people do create a connection with robots, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's not a rational thing.
No. Yeah, it's sad if you have to part with, something you've had for a long time that you have a lot of, just like you said, memories attached to, or maybe it was a gift from someone who means a lot to you, and that I understand. But there are like weird things, like I realized the other day, I have this sort of emotional attachment to my rice cooker.
Oh,
I swear. And it's the cutest little rice cooker. It's one of the Japanese style with the fuzzy logic, but it's small. It's designed for, if you're just a person or a household of two people. So it can only do these small batches of rice, but it is so just little and round and cute, and it does the rice perfectly. And I find myself, when it's done, I'm like, oh, good job, and petting it and really feeling almost like I do with my dog.
Oh, it's because that rice is so perfect at the end.
I know. And if something happened to it, if it broke, or if oh my gosh, God forbid, if I dropped it or something, I would...
Then there would be like a full-blown funeral for your rice cooker.
Yeah, I would feel so bad about that. And it's a rice cooker. But the weird thing is, though, that, the rice cooker helps me. It does things for me. So I guess you could say it serves me or takes care of me. But my phone, which I use, I do so many things on my phone, like reading and, listening to podcasts, like everything I do on my phone, but I have no attachment to that thing at all. I mean, I'd be sad if...
Is that because it's backed up? Is that because that it's up in the cloud somewhere, and so you'll always be able to access everything that's on there anyway?
I don't really know why, actually, because I'd be really sad if I broke it. I mean, it was not a cheap phone, so I'd be kind of sad if I broke it, but it wouldn't be that kind of that emotional thing, like, oh nay, my phone, oh no, like feeling sorry for the phone. But like, oh my God, even our car, I love our car so much, and I'm not a car person, but it's a really cool car, and I really, really love it. And It's so awesome. And the other day, my partner banged his head on the what do you call it? The thing in the back, the hatch for the it's like a hatchback, and he banged his head on the hatch. And of course, I felt sorry for him because he hurt himself. But I really felt like, oh no, the car's going to be sad because it hurt him. I felt sorry for the car because I'm like, oh no, now the car feels bad because it hit.
Who knows? Maybe it did feel bad. You don't know.
It makes no sense at all. But I mean, and it was a real feeling. And I don't know if that means I'm crazy or if I maybe just have a little extra of this empathy that she was talking about in the video.
Who knows? Could be a mix of the two. Oh, dear me. Crazy. But I wonder, what did you think about, she also shows not only that dinosaur robot, but the I think it's called a Paro seal. Oh, yes, with the dementia patients.
Yeah.
That was really interesting because she was saying that it wasn't taking away from humans taking care of them. It was basically substituting animals taking care of them, which poses an interesting question. Like, should we be using animals to help people? For which different things should we be allowing this to happen? Because, you know, a lot of people have dogs as service pets, or, you know, if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, then a lot of people are recommended to get a pet to help them with those things.
Yeah.
But I mean, that little seal was so cute, and I suppose in one way or another it helps them better than having, I suppose, a different sort of animal with these patients.
Right. Yeah. From what I've seen being around in the nursing homes and with people that are in what they call the memory care unit, I think, in the States, where people with Alzheimer's and dementia, I don't think it would be safe for the animal a lot of times if you tried to use a real animal for animal therapy, because those poor people, you just can't predict what they're going to do, and they don't, you know, they have dementia, so they can't.
Exactly. They're not really able to take care of the animal. Yeah.
And so I've heard that those seals and other things like that can actually be really helpful for them, but not replacing human love and care, but just, you know, they need things 24 hours a day, and you just can't have a person there caring for them constantly all day long, and you can't give them a pet. So I thought it was a nice thing.
Absolutely.
In general.
It is great. It's great that they have things like that people can use to their advantage.
Yeah.
And it did look super cute. I mean, I would definitely be attached to that thing.
Me too.
It looked like a little baby seal. It looked like it had a little dummy in its mouth. It was just so cute.
And the little eyes with the long eyelashes. It was very cute. Okay, I'm going to stop the conversation there for today. Yasmin and I have a lot more to talk about, but I'll do that as a part 2, just to keep this episode from getting way too long. And if you didn't do it already, this also gives you time to watch Kate Darling's presentation before you listen to part 2. I think you'll get more out of the conversation if you can compare what we say to your own thoughts and reactions. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and that it gave you something interesting to think about and talk over with your friends, colleagues, or perhaps even in your English class. And seriously, I am curious. Are there any machines or non-living objects that you have an emotional connection to? I mean, now you know all about me and my weird emotional connection with my rice cooker and my car, so it's only fair that I get to hear about yours as well. Oh, and if you want to connect with the delightful Yasmin, you'll find the link to her italki profile in the show notes and transcript as well. Finally, if you enjoy or benefit from my podcasts, you know what's coming, don't you? I'm going to say it anyway. It would make me super happy if you leave a review or rating wherever you listen. In fact, while you're at it, why not go on a thank you spree and leave nice ratings and reviews for all of your favorite podcasts? It only takes a few minutes, and you can totally make a podcaster's day by doing that. That's all for this time. Wishing you and your little robot friends an inspired and productive day.